Hi and welcome everyone. It's Kathleen back again on the Pink for Studio channel. Yeah, I think some of you saw me pop up for a second there. I don't know why my streaming software is always wants to start early. So yeah, welcome to another YouTube live session. Let me know if you can hear me all right. And also, one disclaimer for today. I have my son like right next to me because I'm home alone with him today. And usually he goes to bed like right when we do the YouTube lives. So I hope, I hope he will stay quiet. And he is allowed to watch a little bit of a show for him. So if the noise gets too much, please let me know. Okay. So yeah, we will see if I can, I will try to, keep him as quiet as I can. But I mean, he's 5 years old. You know how kids are. Okay, so today I have something planned for you, and if you read the description or like the reminder email, it already put that I would be giving you some inspiration for our new monthly challenge. So this December challenge is live now, and the theme for this month is Very Merry. And we always also have a color scheme to inspire you. And if you're not familiar with our monthly challenges, you can hop over to our blog and read all of the information there. Just a few important things, or like how it works is that we have the theme, we have the color scheme, and you can use either or. You can combine them, or you can also just do anything goes. So all of our monthly challenges are always anything goes. So as long as you use mainly Pink for Studio products, it doesn't have to be super new products, whatever you have in your stash. And you can enter up to 3 projects per monthly challenge. It can be a card, a scrapbook layout, mini album, whatever you like. And then at the end of the month, we randomly pick a winner for a $50 gift card. So for today, I am going to try and combine the theme and the color scheme. And I want to show you how you can use or turn a product suite that is not holiday themed into, or use it for a holiday themed card. Okay, one moment.
I wanted to watch sound of this creepy.
Sorry about that. It's going to be fun. Okay, so I'm going to flip my camera. And in the blog post, we also, so for the color scheme that we provide at the bottom of this graphic, we also list in the blog post which of our ink colors match that color scheme the closest. And I grabbed all of these 5 inks for today, and we will see how it works out. Okay, so a few more housekeeping things as usual. We are giving away 2 $50 gift cards in the YouTube live. So at the end of this YouTube live, Jody, who is behind the Pink for Studio name, is going to randomly pick 2 winners for the $50 gift cards. And then if you're watching on a replay, you can leave a comment on the replay, and then we are giving away 2 more $50 gift cards on that. And then what else? I think that was pretty much it. Oh yeah, if you have a question, if you could put the word question in all caps at the beginning, that would be really helpful. And I'm going to try my very best to, stay focused. And yeah, I usually, try to avoid going live on a day when I am home alone with him. But today it was just, there was no other way. Okay, so I did a little bit of preparation ahead of time just to make sure that we get our card, or that I get my card done. And I chose the Bloom & Brew product suite. And this is a 3-piece product suite. So you have a clear stamp set, or a cling stamp, sorry, a coordinating press plate, and coordinating layering stencils. And you can either use the cling stamp or the press plate. And since last week I used a similar type of product suite, a large image that is available as a cling stamp and a press plate with layering stencils. And last week I used the cling stamp. I decided that today I would use the press plate. And I already did some foiling in matte silver foil. And this is absolutely beautiful. And you can see, so this is already cut down to A2 size. And the press plate fills this A2 size panel completely. So I really love that you get the lines go from, one edge to the other. So there's no white space around the image. You can, of course, cut it down if you like to have a border around your panel on the card front. But you don't need to, and it would fill this card front completely. I decided on using silver today. I'm usually a golden and champagne foil kind of girl. But for today's color scheme, the one that we have for our monthly challenge, I thought that silver would go really nicely with these colors. And then I also did a little bit of preparation for my sentiments. And so this product suite doesn't have sentiments. You can combine it with whatever you like. And since I want to turn my card into a Christmas card, I chose the Once Upon a Holiday product suite, or like the press plate, sentiment press plate, and the coordinating dies. Or you can use the stamps if you prefer. And I already foiled 3 of the sentiments. Not sure which one I'm going to use. Either the best stories are shared at Christmas, a season full of joyful stories, and warm holiday wishes. These are the ones that are a little bit more general or neutral and not as book themed as the others, that I think would, make more sense if you also use an image that has something to do with books. And then I also took advantage of the, foil that I had left over, and I did some reverse foiling with 2 of those. I tried all 3, but I messed up the 3rd one. So for this one, I don't have the reverse, but for these ones I do. And we will see which ones I will end up using. Okay, now let's get started. And just to, you can definitely use the color scheme or the inspiration I shared today for a non-holiday card, especially if you use just a regular everyday kind of sentiment with these colors. They don't necessarily scream holiday. So I think it would, you can do whatever you like with it. And yeah, we will see. Okay, so I'm going to start. So it's a 5-piece layering stencil set. And the fun thing about this one is, as you can see on the mock-up, you get a stencil for each part of this image. So even for the background. And this is something that I really love. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it today, but there is one so that you can fill the entire panel with color. And when you go to our website, to the product page for the Bloom & Brew stencil set, you will get the project samples. And you can see some gorgeous examples where the design team used these stencils to color in the background, especially great for like really dark and dramatic colors. Okay, so as I said, I'm not sure if I will use the stencil layer that colors in the background. We will see how the rest looks when I get to that part. Now, as I said, I already cut my panel down to A2 size, but you could also do this on a larger panel and then just cut it down once you're done with your ink blending, whatever makes it easier for you. And let me just So this is stencil layer number 1. And I'm going to start with Ballet Slipper. And I'm going to try and answer some questions that I see coming in that aren't necessarily for me, but you know, that I might be able to answer anyway. So one question I think was about re-inkers. You all went crazy during our Grateful Friday and Cyber Monday promotions, and most of our re-inkers are out of stock right now, as are most of the ink cubes, I believe, and also the blending brushes. And we had a good number of those in stock, so you really went crazy. The re-inkers and such will be back in stock. Like, we are expecting a restock, and you can sign up for restock notifications. So make sure you do that for the colors that you still want and need. And Kinnery also mentioned in our Facebook fan group that we know that a lot of you missed out on getting their hands on some of those re-inkers. We will make it up for you with a discount of some sort when we get a restock. So yeah. So let's see. Why is it? Hold on. Okay. And then I think there was another question. So I'm using the Ballet Slipper right now. And I'm just applying, you know, just an all over layer of Ballet Slipper. I did a little bit of heavier ink blending in some areas and a little bit of lighter ink blending in others. So just to have a bit of variation. So let's move on to layer number 2. And as always, you can, if later on you realize you didn't do enough of a color, just put the stencil back on and do more. You know, you can always go back and forth if needed. Yeah. Was denn? So this is stencil number 2. Ich höre dir zu. Soll ich sie wieder drauf machen? Sorry. Okay. Sorry, had to get the entertainment going again. So I started with a bit of Ballet Slipper as my first layer. I'm going to do a bit of Candy Apple on the details on those blossoms. And I'm going to use a 1/4 inch blending brush because I'm not sure yet if I really want to have that dark red on the, what's it called? Teapot. And this way I can be a little bit more precise. If you want to use the same color for all openings on the stencil, then you might as well use 1 inch blending brush. I haven't decided yet. And I think, especially the tablecloth, I think I want to have in a different color. Okay. Just carefully wiping some of it off so I don't smudge some areas where I don't want the red. I did get a little bit of red on my tablecloth there, but I think I can, you know, hide that later on. Oh yeah, good point. Jody just said, do not just sign up for the bundles, sign up for individual colors. Yes, because she said bundles are assembled by hand and relies on every color being back in stock. So even if there's only one color missing, you won't get a notification for the bundle, even though, you know, 10 out of 12 colors that you wanted are back in stock. So make sure that you sign up for the individual colors And also, if you want re-inkers and ink pads, you know, also for those different types of products, because there might be the re-inker coming back in stock, but not the ink pad, or not at the same time, or whatever. You know, sometimes things are out of our control. Okay, so let's see. I think for my teapot, I want to bring in the purple. So in our monthly challenge graphic, we had a purple circle that matches the wisteria. And you can use whatever you have. You know, you don't have to use the exact same color. It's just, we just list those as inspiration. You can also grab a different purple that you have. Just play around with it. It's really just as kind of a starting point. Now you could mask the other areas, but you know me, I usually don't.
Mama.
Yep.
Kannst du das? Ich will jetzt wieder alleine ausziehen.
Das kann ich gerade nicht machen. Da musst du warten.
Musst du den Sachen.
Halt's fest, warte kurz. So for my tablecloth, I think I will bring in the ocean breeze. Okay. Because as I said, I'm not sure if I will color in my background, and I'm keeping the green and like the Emerald City for the leaves. So that's my area where I can bring in the ocean breeze. And I'm going to carefully, or like, you know, the ocean breeze, and if it mixes with the wisteria, not a big deal. I'm going to try my best not to go over the candy apple areas too much. You could mask it off, or you could just leave it, you know, whatever. And here I'm trying to get a bit of a darker blend around the edges of those elements on the tablecloth, because there would be a little bit more shadow. Yeah. Ich kann jetzt nicht. Sorry, 1 second. Ruben, bitte. Give me 1 second. I'm really sorry about that. We will have to have a little talk after this this YouTube live is over, because last time it worked much better. Bitte. So, and I'm going for a bit of a kind of wintry, icy look. So a bit more on the cooler side. So hold on, that was stencil number 2. Yeah, here's stencil number 3. And this one is mostly for the leaves, as you can see, but also for some details on the cup and the teapot, but I don't want them to be green. So this time I will have to mask a little bit, because the Emerald City is quite bright. So if I get a little bit of that, you know, on here, there won't be any hiding it, other than maybe going over it with some, I don't know, gold paste or something. So I'm just using some masking tape here to mask those areas. As I said, you can definitely make these stencils work by using just a single color per layer. You just have to be a bit, you know, or you have to think carefully before you start which colors you want to use. So I will start with a bit of mint first, because I want to have some shading. So I will start with a lighter color and do sort of a base layer. And I picked mint instead of some other light green, like maybe fresh pear or grassy knoll or something like this, because the mint is also on this kind of bluish green side, so a bit more on a cooler side. And that is why, and as I said, I'm going for this kind of icy, wintry color scheme. So this is why I chose the mint and why I chose some silver foil. So I'm leaning into this whole kind of wintry vibe. I just realized I completely forgot to check questions in between. Okay. I think I didn't miss any questions, but if I did, please just ask again. I'm not ignoring you. So now I'm going to use Emerald City. And there is also stencil number 4 that gives you some, detail layers for the leaves as well. So you could use that one or just do, so I'm just tapping my 1/2-inch blending brush and I'm just going to come in kind of from the bottom of the leaves and fading out towards the top of the leaves for a little bit of shading. You could definitely skip this and just use the next stencil layer for some shadowing. But I really like how this contrast, this ink kind of automatically darkens around the edges of the stencil. I think this gives it such a nice look. And keep in mind, you don't always have to fill the whole opening with ink. You can also leave some of the areas or fade it out into white, actually. And there are some people on our design team, or Raquel, who was on our design team, was, I think, a master of that. And I think sometimes this makes the colors pop even more if you actually let them fade out into white. So just do some, circling motion. And this one, and then I think I did them all. So now I can, before I remove the stencil, or sorry, the masking tape, I'm going to wipe off some of the excess. And now I need to think what I want to use for the highlights or the details on those, on the teacup and the teapot. And if you're not sure, sometimes it really helps to have a look at the mock-up again to see how it was done here. Like, was there a similar color being used as before, or was there a completely different one? So I think sometimes this really helps if when you're not sure which way to go. So I think I'm actually going to go with, I don't want to do candy apple. I think that's too much, but maybe some peony. So I do want a darker pink than I did on the sort of base, or like the largest part of the teacup and the pot, but not as dark as candy apple. I can always go darker, but once you're too dark, it's really hard to bring it back. So someone said yellow. I'm not going to bring in yellow because I really want to stay in this really cool color scheme. And yellow is not a cool color, as in cool versus warm. So I won't bring in any yellow. That's also why I didn't do champagne or gold. And as I said, you can always do more. So I might change my mind and bring in candy apple. We will see. Okay, and then there's stencil number 4. Where is it? Hold on. There, it was hiding. So yes, someone was asking about Raquel. Yes, she stepped down, or she's taking a break from all of her design team commitments, or like card making, commitments, partnerships, whatever, in general, to take care of herself and her health. So yeah, we were really sad to see her go, but at the same time, it's really important to take care of yourself. So we totally understand, but we are really missing seeing her beautiful creations every month. So we can't wait, or we are hoping that at some point she will be back, not just with us, but with back at card making in general, because I think she's a really talented card maker and she always wows me. So I'm using Emerald City again. I don't want to bring any like brown for branches. But you could definitely do more sort of a, maybe like something like warm buff. So I'm using my 1/2 inch blending brush. This time I'm not masking anything because I can be a bit more precise with the 1/2 inch blending brush and try not to get it on like the teapot. So that's that. And let's see what we can do. Actually, no, you know what? I think I am going to do candy apple for those areas now. Why not? Am I going to do candy apple or maybe a darker purple? Because I feel like those few areas with the purple might not be enough. Maybe let's do purple. So I'm using hydrangea. Also, I was talking about cool versus warm tones before. That's also one reason. I mean, the color scheme for the challenge said Wisteria was the closest match to that circle, to that kind of color sample. But so you could definitely use soft lilac if you have that. No problem at all. But to get this sort of cooler color scheme, the purples in this color family work better because they are more sort of blue purples, whereas the other ones, soft lilac and lavender and regal kiss, are more on the pinkish purple side. So a bit of color theory here. And some people might not care about that, or you just grab whatever you feel works best. That's totally fine. No judgment. I think this would also look really fun if you applied some sort of glitter paste or metallic paste through some of the openings, especially on the teapot and the teacup. So maybe some silver paste if you have, but I'm not going to do this today. So I think I'm good with that, but I am actually going to bring in the candy apple for this, just to give this whole thing a bit more of this holiday, or sorry, of this kind of Christmas flair. So let's put back stencil. Which one is it? I can't read. Stencil 3. And I'm actually going to use candy apple. And you can see I didn't clean my stencil in between. It's lazy. Sue, I'm so happy to read that you finally used your 1-inch blending brushes and that you're loving them. I told you you would. So proud of you for finally using them. Now, what I really like about this stencil is that, hold on, I will show you up close. I will clean it first a little bit. So since on this stencil, you have the openings for the leaves and the details for the teapot and teacup, and they might not necessarily, or you might not necessarily want to use the same colors for those. there's actually this edged line around the area that would be the details for the teacup and teapot, just so that you realize that if you want to use different colors, here's where you would need to change your color. Also, I did my nails like right before the YouTube live, and of course I already have a chipped kind of nail. So it's not that I didn't try. Okay, I do want a little bit more red on the tablecloth here. I really like that area down here. And these, I will show you up close in a second. But these detailed lines down here really make it look like kind of a ruffled, crinkled tablecloth. I really like that. So bringing in the candy apple again. I'm trying to stick to the challenge colors as much as I can. I think the only color I added was the mint. I did use peony, but then I ended up covering that area with candy apples, so I won't count that one. Okay, and I think I want to do a bit more on the ocean breeze tablecloth as well. And then I think I'm done. I'm pretty sure I won't add ink blending to the background, but we will see in a second. And this is also something to keep in mind. The ink colors will lighten a little bit as they dry. So this is why sometimes you might need to do or to replace your stencil and add more ink, even though in the beginning you thought it was like that's the way you wanted it. So right now this one actually looks a bit dark compared to the rest, but I know that this will fade out a little bit. Now I did get a bit of ocean breeze onto these purple areas, but I'm fine with that. So this is my color scheme. And I have to admit that, you know, this is probably not a color scheme I would have picked like if I had just started with the Bloom and Brew and without this kind of monthly challenge inspiration. But that's what I really like, that sometimes this is exactly what you need to get out of your comfort zone or to get out of a rut, just to get to try different things and, you know, experiment. Because even if you end up not liking it, you know, you did something new, you tried something new, and maybe next time you know that there was maybe only one color you didn't like, so you will switch that one out, or you will discover a completely new to you color scheme. Okay. I'm adding a bit more of the ballet slipper since I'm not going to add color on the background. I want this to stand out. So this is what it looks like. And to me, it does give me that kind of icy, wintry feel. You could also do the same color for the tablecloth, like just, you know, maybe darker along the edge, and then use candy apple on both, or you can try different things or keep it white, whatever you like. Now, the only thing I would have really loved to have a die that cut out the elements, but then we wouldn't be able to have a stencil that colors in the background. So, you know, there's always two sides of it, but I think it would be really fun to actually use those branches and to cut them out and kind of pop them up. But you would have to fussy cut those, and sometimes I am in the mood for fussy cutting, but I'm not going to do that during a live and especially not that many intricate parts. So yeah, I hope that this color scheme maybe, or I would love to hear if that's a color scheme you would have tried or that you like, or if maybe there's a color you feel like, I don't think that goes well, I think I would use something else. Question, if you had done the background, would it be done first? So as for the stencils, it is on stencil layer 5. Hold on, let me grab that. So this is stencil layer 5. You can see this is just the background, but you don't have to do it in order. You could also do this first and then do the rest. That's totally up to you. You can just mix, or you can definitely rearrange the order of the stencils. Sometimes there are stencils where it makes sense to use one before the other, but sometimes there are also stencil layers where it's completely up to you. And you could use 5, then 2, then 1, whatever. So yeah, this is, and you can see, so if I put this down here, you can see you can color in the background. Now, one word of warning with this stencil, you can see that it does have some delicate parts here. So if you have some sort of kind of like this, what's it called? I think pixie spray or something that you can use to temporarily adhere a stencil. I think that would be a good one to use, just so that when you do your ink blending, you don't move that piece around, or you don't, it won't rip because it's still pretty sturdy, the material, but you have to be a bit careful in those areas. So just, but that's kind of something you have to keep in mind with delicate, intricate designs. Now, I am tempted to color in the background, but I have to admit I'm not sure which color I would use, because I do want to keep this icy look. I already have Ocean Breeze here. Let me see. Is there anything I could use? Yeah.
That is 1390.
Oh, okay. Aber der ist nicht böse. Na, oder spulst ein bisschen vor. You know what? I think I am going to do just a little bit of Misty Coast, just so that the background has some kind of color. I just have to see if because I don't have a gray large blending brush handy, so I have my green one here, and I have to see if it gives, if it's still, no, looks gray. So let's see. And I'm just going to do a very, very light hand, because as I said, I don't want to move those elements around too much, but just to give this kind of depth and dimension. And we will see if I regret it when I'm done. I don't know. I might ruin it. If I had decided on doing the background right at the beginning, then I would probably have kept Ocean Breeze for the background and used something else for the tablecloth. But, it is what it is. Yes. I like that. It's, it's not a huge difference, but you can see it adds just this little bit of shadow behind the leaves so that it looks like the leaves are kind of, I don't know, sort of popped up. So I think doing the Misty Coast was a good choice. Now let me just move the inks out of the way before I drop them all. And the stencils before I smudge everything everywhere. I will clean them afterwards. I also have, hold on, I did do another card with the Bloom and Brew, and you can see I cut down the image a little bit to fit on this postal edge rectangle. If you saw last week's YouTube live, you know that I love this die. And I used it to create this easel card. And here I used the champagne foil and a really dark dramatic color in the background. So this is, you can see how different this can look depending on if you do a soft light background or a really dark dramatic one. Okay, so let me see, 20 minutes, that's good. I'm good on time. Now I don't want to cut this up too much. Question, did you use silver embossing before you did the card? No, I did use the press plate with matte silver foil. I didn't use shiny. I wanted to do matte silver because for my sentiment, I haven't decided which one I'm going to use, but I used shiny silver foil just so that the sentiment would stand out more against the background, because I thought if this was also the shiny silver, you know, you have lots of shiny elements, and this way I have this matte silver that is still shiny but not as obvious, and then when you add the sentiment on top, it just pops a little bit more. Okay. Now, as I said, I don't want to cut this up too much. I did show you last week how you can use a large image like this and stretch it to create two cards by cutting it apart. So I don't want to do something, you know, similar today. But still, I want to add just a little bit of detail before I adhere this to my card front. And I thought I could maybe die cut it with one of our nested rectangle dies that adds just this sort of stitched outline. Just this tiny bit of detail, but that gives it a bit of a finished look. Or the notched corner frames. This would only, you know, cut off the corners, as the name suggests. And the fun thing about this set actually is that you can add the stitch details or you can leave them out. So I can use just the cutting die for the outside, or I can also add the stitched lines. So I don't know. This one is also fun, but I don't think I will use that one. So either one of the rectangle ones, or you could also use one of the rectangle dies and create a frame that you could put on top. Also great for doing a shaker card. But since I also did a shaker card last week, I don't want to do one today. Dann hol dir noch ein Quetschi. So, let's see. Let me know. Would you do the notched corners? Or would you do one of the rectangles? Ja, ja. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. I think, let's see. So when you look at the card samples on the Bloom and Brew product page, you will see that quite a few of the design team examples already used one of these rectangle dies to create a frame or to cut out the panel. And I see lots of you mentioning notched, notched, notched. So let's do the notched corners. Because you can see some examples for the rectangles on the product page already. So let's do notched corners. And I think I will start by... Okay. By just cutting the frame itself, and then I will see if I want to add the stitch detail or not. So this would actually be a little bit easier if I hadn't already cut down this panel to A2 size, but I think I can manage. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, I would say about 75% of you said notched corners. So you can see this cuts out, I'm having some difficulties finding words today. This cuts off a bit of the outside edge, so it's not a full A2 size, but not a lot is lost. And then I think I'm going to do the stitched lines. So this is just going to add those stitch details, just because, I don't know, I think like Christmas, these handmade touches and sort of stitching, for me, it kind of makes sense together. Oops, I do have some adhesive on the back of this panel. That was not the smartest thing, but here we go. And you can see those details that this die adds. Okay, so where did I put my card base? Here. So you can see that when you add it to your card base, it does give you not just the notched corners, but just a little bit of a frame around the outside. And you could even try and see what it looks like with some glitter cardstock around it. Let me just grab some glitter cardstock. And hold on. I did do some prep work at some point and cut down some A2 panels of all of my glitter cardstock colors so that I can grab them quickly. So let's see if that's too much, or I mean, for Christmas, I feel like, you know, glitter is always a good idea, but this might be a bit too much. I think it takes some of the focus from our ink blended image. So I think that's too much. The white might actually work. Nope. Nope. Not what I was going for today. So I think I'm going to leave it, which is rare for me because I do love glitter. But I think I will add glitter, or I might add glitter in a different way, depending on which sentiment I'm going to use. And I will definitely add some sort of bling. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to, surprise, surprise, pop this up with some foam adhesive. I think no one's surprised that I'm doing this. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to add a little bit of ink blending on the background. Maybe some light pink. Let's do some ballet slipper. And if I don't like it, I can just use a new card base and keep this for a different project. I'm good on time. I have 10 minutes, so I'm just using my 1-inch blending brush and ballet slipper to try and see if that maybe is what this card needs. And remember that it does leave a little bit of an edge around the whole panel, so you also need to ink blend along the straight edge, not just the corners. And you know, when I do something like this and then end up not using it, as I said, I can just keep this card base for a different card where the light pink works, or I can keep it for a card where I'm going to put a complete A2 panel on the card front, and that way the ballet slipper or the light pink would be completely hidden. So it's not like I have to throw the whole card base away. And I'm not blending, I'm just blending around the edges because the center will be covered by the panel. Okay, so let's see. Yep, I think that's good. I'm not sure if you can really see it on camera, but I think that's just enough to add that little bit of something. So let's grab some foam tape. I'm just going to add this around the outside and a little bit in the center, just so that it doesn't sag there. And you can definitely skip that part and adhere it directly to your card base if you don't want the dimension, or you can use some thinner foam adhesive because this one is pretty thick. I think it's 3 millimeters or even more. Someone was asking if you can blend on the glitter cardstock. Yes, absolutely. Especially if you use the Glacier, so the white glitter cardstock that we have, which is probably my favorite one apart from the champagne glitter cardstock. You can ink blend on that and create your own kind of glitter cardstock shades. Works great if you want, especially some sort of a lighter shade. That was not good. Sorry, I have to do this out of frame for a second just to be able to see where I'm putting my panel. Okay, back in. So you can see that this adds quite a bit of dimension. You can skip this. And then for my sentiment, I have this Warm Holiday Wishes, which is teeny tiny, but I think also kind of cute because it doesn't take up too much space here and kind of lets the image speak for itself. But I also really love this one, A Season Full of Joyful Stories. And I thought this would fit well because, you know, something like having a cup of tea or coffee together, you usually have a chat, you usually share stories. So this is why I chose this sentiment. And I really love the arrangement here and how it cuts out the inside of that sentiment. And I think this reversed foil also makes it stand out nicely. So I think this also looks really nice. And then for this one, the best stories are shared at Christmas. Same idea with the kind of story sharing. And here I thought this is where you could die cut a shadow layer from some glitter cardstock, and that way bring in a little bit of glitter cardstock into this mix. So let's see. I'm going to quickly die cut a shadow layer for, I really love this one. I really love the shape of that one. So I'm going to cut a glitter layer from some, let's see, silver. I'm gonna do the white. So this is the glacier. I'm not sure if I will use it, but we can try. And you can see I only ran it through once and it die cut perfectly and it doesn't shed. So love it. So this is really nice. And hold on, I'm going to quickly show you how to ink blend on the glitter cardstock, or what it looks like. Let me bring you a little bit closer. It's the closest I can get you. So let's do a bit of Wisteria. This is the glacier, the white one. And do you see it? It's subtle, especially on camera, but it is such a nice color. Or you could do even darker. So this is the Opulence, the darkest purple in that. And the nice thing is that you get this, especially with the glacier, it works great with these sort of cooler colors because you get this kind of iridescent glitter in the color. So this is really nice. So yeah, it works best with the glacier. So let's see, maybe I can do it with my shadow layer actually. Maybe with some blue, because I only have the Ocean Breeze in my tablecloth. So let's do a little bit of that. And this is great, especially when you want to have a colored glitter cardstock, but not as colored and as bold as our, you know, actual colored glitter cardstock. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So now you can also see that it's a tiny bit of blue shadow. Let's do that. Because, you know, it's a Christmas card after all, so it does need some glitter. Dann mach weiter, dann spul vor. And I mentioned it last time, whenever you do a shadow layer, make sure to add your adhesive to your top layer to avoid getting adhesive somewhere where it's going to be visible and, you know, where you would get not ink, adhesive all over your card or your fingers or whatever. So here, I hope you can see it. So I really like that. I do love the reverse foil too. Or maybe do the reverse foil with the glitter. Is that too much? Nah, it's Christmas, not too much. Another advantage of using liquid adhesive, you can take it off. Or, you know, at least you have a little bit of time. And I know the solid hot foil plate is currently out of stock, but I think it should be back hopefully soon. So make sure you sign up for the restock notification. Yes, I do like that. I'm not going to add more foam adhesive here just because I already used quite a thick foam adhesive for the panel. And I'm going to put it up here so it won't cover the teacup and the pot. Trying to center it as well as I can. And let's see, maybe do some, I want to add some clear drops or some drops, some sort of something in the centers of some of the flowers. And I think Jody is probably going to randomly pick our 2 winners in a second while I am finishing up this card. So let's see what the red looks like. It's very festive, so I feel like red would be a good choice. I usually gravitate towards pinks, so I would probably usually do something like Ballet slipper. These are really nice too. Why not mix them? So I used the smallest size of those clear drops. So I have clear drops in Ballet slipper and in Scarlet. I hope they are both in stock. I didn't check. And I'm just using my dual tip embellishment tool to adhere them, which makes it super easy. Just adding those in the centers of those flowers. Melissa Johnson and Carolyn Gilbert. Yeah. Congratulations, you are today's gift card winners. Email customerservice@pinkfishstudio.com to claim your prize and have fun treating yourself to maybe to an early gift, a Christmas present. I think I'm good. Or hold on, down here and here, and then I'm done. One more. Need one more tiny one. There it is. Okay. Now, that is my finished card for today. I hope you enjoyed this inspiration for turning a non-holiday product suite into a holiday card. And I hope you enjoyed seeing some inspiration for the monthly challenge. Make sure to enter your projects. As I said, it's an anything goes challenge. You can use the theme and the color scheme or just one of the two, or you just submit a project that uses mainly Pinkfish Studio products. It just has to be a new project, mainly Pinkfish Studio. That's it. Question, are the dots different sizes in the package? Yes. I think there are about 4 different sizes. So you have some pretty big ones, and then the tiny ones that I use today are the smallest in that package. One more thing. On Friday, we are going to start a watercolor 101 series with Emily Midget. So we will do 4 YouTube lives, probably each Friday starting this week at noon CT. It will be a YouTube live on this channel with Emily Midget, and she will tell you all about the watercolors. Tell you all about the watercolors, show them up close, answer your questions, you know. And in the first session, she's just going to go over some sort of basic techniques. And then during those sessions, she will also show you how you can use those watercolors that are currently or that are 20% off with Pinkfire Studio products to create cards. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you join in if you want to know more about the watercolors and want some inspiration. And Emily is fantastic at watercoloring, so she can do this much better than I could. So I'm really happy that she agreed to do it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Next week, you will have to stick with me, I think, one more time. And then it's Carissa, probably Carissa and Jody back on the channel. So yeah, thanks so much. And again, apologies for some interruptions from my son. But I think in total, it was fine. So have a great day, everyone. And see you again soon. Bye.